Joseph W., the topics, the economy, tariffs, the president, the media, local growth and development. Sort these out for us, okay?
You know, Terry, it's funny. We're filming this on Wednesday afternoon. What June 11th. We just had our board of trustees meeting last night at the college. And what's funny, you really see the media having a hard time in giving any credit to Donald Trump. It just so. Let me give you a couple of headlines just today, okay? And it's funny how the headline can be the same headline done four times. So here's a Wall Street Journal. Employers had 177,000 jobs in April amid tariff uncertainty. Okay. But it was actually, what they said was, it was done better than what they actually thought. Okay, so next one, U.S. job growth beats expectations in April. Okay. Breaking, price growth holds steady despite Trump's volatile trade wars. This is great. This came from Connect Money. Breaking news, May CPI cools slightly, but tariff risk cloud rate cut outlook. Consumer prices rose less than expected in May, offering a modest reprieve on inflation, though economists caution that new tariff pressures may keep the Federal Reserve sidelines on cuts in the near term. This one this morning, Wall Street Journal. Inflation rose to 2.4 in May, in line with expectations. Consumer prices were up 2.4 in May from the year earlier. The Labor Department said hotter than April's gain of 2.3. This was in line with the 2.4 rise expected by economists surveyed by the Wall Street Journal. And the last one says inflation holds steady as data shows how prices are faring after Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. So I ran into a real powerful friend from Washington the other day, and we were talking about the tariffs and how they really work. So for those that watch don't like tariffs, you're not going to like what I have to say, okay? And if you don't like Donald Trump, you're not going to like what I have to say. And I like everything Donald Trump does, but I'll tell you, I sure like where our country's going. I think Donald Trump is the only president that we will ever know, or that I've known, that had nothing to risk by taking this thing on. I've given, I think, 6 speeches so far this year. I've said the same thing to every group. This is not about you and I, Terry. It's not about Robert, okay? It's really not about your kids, and it's not about it's about your great grandkids. And finally, I think we're going to put our arms around, a 45 to 100 billion dollar deficit every single year. We just can't do. So today, okay, I've watched the feed on my phone all day long. Very few people reported this, that the United States and China have come to a deal based on principles. Okay. George Newton, many people on here don't remember George Newton. He had Newton's Outpost where the pilot is on I-15 there at Joshua. I did that 17-acre deal, so I'm really proud of it. Well, we did that deal with Jimmy Haslam, the guy that owns the Cleveland Browns. What a great guy to work with. And I did 3 of those deals with him. George said to me one day, Joe, the devil's in the details. So China and America have agreed on the details. So let me go back to my friend in Washington. So my friend says to me in Washington, this was about 2 weeks ago, I'm in a restaurant having lunch with Mike Page. And this person walks by and says, so I was asking about, and he said, you're going to see some lawsuits that will finally get to court the last week of June, okay? And what they believe is going to happen is once they get heard, the judges are going to come back and say to Trump, he really didn't have permission to do what he did, but he had to go through Congress. Well, by the time that happens, he'll have these deals done. So I feel very comfortable about where things are going. If we take a look, what's funny is that the media doesn't want to give any credit. And, it's like the peaceful demonstrations in LA, they're not peaceful. I mean, there are people that are actually being paid a lot of money to go on in and throw rocks. And I was getting my haircut recently, and one of the guys in one of the other booths came on over and said, hey, Mr. Murray, I saw a guy on TV the other day talk about how he gets paid and how he can't be worried. He has to throw rocks. He has to throw Molotovs. And, so where are we with the economy? I really do see that by July 4th, Silverwood is rocking right now. Okay, so where's John? I just saw John at Victor Valley Community College today. So John sits on our foundation. Just a wonderful, wonderful guy. He's just a giver, and he just works for a great team at DMB. They're getting 350 people a week to walk through those 5 models for 5 builders. 350 a week, and it's steady. 5,000 people originally signed up that want to be on the interest list. They had 1,125 that signed, hey, I want to be a buyer. They had 350 that are coming through weekly, and they've sold 90 units so far in 6 weeks. So they're rocking. I believe that with the tariffs, now come the bright lines. So I've been told by very good sources internally that once the tariff issue is resolved, they're moving forward. Trump, I've been told, is a supporter of Brightline. He's not a supporter of the train to nowhere in California. And that train to nowhere in California, one of my very good friends worked on that as a major contractor and just told me what a screw up it was. So you've got that. Southern California Logistics Airport continues to move with tenants coming in. Every one of the cities right now has, there may be a major retailer, I won't say who it is outside of Sam's Club. Sam's is going into Aspera. There's somebody even bigger coming that is landing pretty soon. That's just going to absolutely validate everything that the cities work for. I mean, Rachel and Nathan and that whole team, they've got a great team down there. I think we're pretty close to seeing a 124 key Marriott Studio Res that we represent next to Texas Roadhouse. That will hopefully close in the next 60 days. So, we'll be sure to let our friends at Victor Valley News Group have that, and no one else. So the cities are doing well. Apple Valley's got a ton of retail going over near Jess Ranch and Apple Valley Parkway. They've got the projects out there. They've got the new industrial building. I'll be driving this next weekend. Southern California Logistics Airport, Atlanta's doing well. The mayor has brought Caltrans in to talk about really developing out to 395. Barstow's gone from the $1.5 billion with BNS up to a $4 billion. So I think the Valley's looking really good. I feel very optimistic. We're in the summer. The calls that we're getting are good. Tenants are still lined on up. Space is tight. I talked to a tenant today who has a 60,000 square foot building that they want us to lease. And he said, how many other buildings are out there? And I said, there are none. So we've seen it. So I think the glass is more than half full, and I think what we're doing at the federal level is great. It's too bad we're having this conflict with the state level because it just doesn't bode well. I am concerned. I am having lunch soon with Assemblyman Juan Carrillo. Juan's on the Democratic side, and we're friends. We don't agree on everything. But I am concerned that 20% of gas production or oil production, gas production in California, is going to stop at the end of the year. There are some people that believe that that we could see an $8 a gallon gas. I've been told that gas prices are going to go up 65 cents. I was told that there was a Senate bill last week that was defeated by the Democrats to be sure that the price didn't go down. So you kind of wonder what's going on in Sacramento. We just passed the budget. We passed our tentative budget at the college last night, and we're very optimistic about what the state's doing, and we're moving ahead full speed. Let me share with you we'll talk about VVC in a minute, but Terry, I do think that the economy is really going to do well, and I whether you like Trump or not, I wouldn't underestimate what he's going to do. I feel very, very comfortable about where he is, or where we're going to go. And hopefully interest rates will slowly come down for the residential, because that's really hurt the residential market a lot. So.